Hey everybody, this is herculespetix, founder, curator, docent, and gift shop employee of the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Studies. Today we're going to continue our scholarly examination of Echo of Futurepast, the great 80s anthology. We're up to number 5, and we have a cover from Lewis Mitchell, the artist of Tippie Toe Jones. That's this character. And this cover's a fucking mess. It boggles my mind how good the chops are of this guy, that he can duplicate Neil Adams flawlessly. But then he's got to draw this head. That just bothers me so much. It bothered me when I was a teenager. Bothers me now. It just makes me not want to read the comic or look at the cover. Also, the composition's a mess. It's just a big boondoggle. But it's just annoying. This guy could really draw. Contents page. So I did want to point out, so last issue I mentioned that they had changed the paper quality, the paper stock, from slick paper to this kind of matte finish, not newsprint, I don't know what it's called, but maybe it was a glitch just last issue. I think it was, because the colors looked muddied, the printing wasn't so sharp, and I think they fixed the problem, because even though this paper is not as good as the first 4 issues or 3 issues, it's you can kind of see through it sometimes even, but it really holds the colors and the printing looks really good on it. So I'm glad they figured that out. As you can see, look at this, how nice that looks. This is chapter 5 of Arthur Surdam's Mudwogs, and I just can't believe he's getting even better. This is just, look at every panel on here, just beautiful. The colors, the line work, the designs of the characters, just so good. So we start the story off where we ended it last time. Mudwog has just got done telling his infant son a bedtime story. He's now asleep, and he goes to say goodnight to his wife, the Blue Lady, and she says, "I want you to read me a story too." So he's like, okay. And he tells her the tale of Fat and Skinny. Look at this great cityscape here. So imaginative. So this character, she has no name, so they just call it, she's just fat. That's her name, basically. And she's so fat that she's basically immobile. She's been standing in the city square for as long as anyone can remember, like a statue. Birds even nest on her head and her shoulders. Everyone ignores her. Nobody has ever spoken to her. They treat her like as if she was a statue. Of course, she's very sad and lonely. She doesn't have much of a life, as you can imagine. But one day at noon, this guy shows up in the square and starts talking to her. And we'll call him Skinny, since he doesn't have a real name either. He's this kind of small, skinny guy. And she is dumbfounded. Nobody's ever spoken to her before. I love the design of this guy, so cartoony. And look at her face here. It's like one of those blow-up sex dolls. And so every day at noon, he comes to chat with her. Sometimes they even have a picnic lunch. Look at him. He's lying on top of her, or sitting on top of her, pouring wine down her gullet. See how you can see the art through the page? I bet you can see that on your camera, on your viewer. And then one day, he proposes to her. And she agrees. She's totally in love with him. She had never made love to a man before, so on her wedding night, she's very surprised. She really likes it. But the skinny man was so tiny, and her need for him was so great. She squeezed him tightly, drew him inside. He sank within, and he was gone. So she basically ingested him with her vagina. So, of course, he doesn't come back the next day. For some reason, she seems surprised that he's not coming to visit her anymore. And she's heartbroken. But she knows where he is. So I don't get that part. But then one day, miraculously, he shows up in this cool truck. And he loads her into the truck and says, "Come on, baby, I'm taking you to the beach." And she's never been to the beach before. It's the most beautiful day of her life. And for the first time, she's happy. It's just amazing. So, the end. So the Blue Lady has fallen asleep, And Mudwog kisses his son goodnight and prepares for bed. Gets a late night snack, turns on the tube, and he watches TV until the end of the transmission day. And the national anthem comes on and is the soundtrack for this kind of sweet, serene ending. Everyone's asleep and everyone's at peace. And that's the end of the story. Just a nice little wind down. Now we have chapter 5 of Bucky O'Hare, written by Larry Hama, drawn by Michael Golden. The colors are really bright on this paper, which really suits the story. We pretty much start where we ended up last time. Deadeye Duck and Willie are still trying to rescue Jenny, the magic witch cat, and they're fighting the toads. Man, Michael Golden's going to town on this. Fortunately, Willie is still wearing the Beetlejuicean berserker baboon outfit. And that's the one thing toads are terrified of. So they keep turning tail and running from him. A general is just sick of this shit. He's just like, God damn it. We got to unleash the void droid. And apparently this is such a frightening weapon that even his lieutenants are like, no, don't do that. But he overrules them. We cut away for a little to see Bucky O'Hare and Blinky talking to that omniscient mouse character. It's like they're talking philosophy or something. Now back to the action. Here's the void droid. Look at that. Michael Golden is so good at designing machinery and all kinds of things. But that's pretty impressive. I kind of like when Michael Golden gets this dense. Even though I don't think it's the best thing for storytelling. Because you kind of got to like slow down and like sometimes figure out what's going on in a picture. It all works. It's all amazing once you look at it. But he packs so much at every panel that it's almost like, whoa, wait, what's going on here? So Deadeye Duck says, Willie, I grabbed this gun, this weapon from your bedroom when we were on Earth. Use it against the creature. And he's like, but it's a water pistol. But he says, just shoot it. And he does. And the water totally destroys the void droid. The frogs are watching and they're like, it was ray shielded and missile shielded, but not waterproof. Because remember, the toads are very dumb. They're very evil, but very dumb. So Jenny comes out and they're all going to escape together now. The toads come barging in the hangar bay door. And just as they do, there it is. Their ship just plows through them, trying to make an escape. And we'll find out what happens next month. Fun stuff. Here we have the last chapter of Neil Adams' Frankenstein, Count Dracula, Werewolf. And this is so kind of silly. They're acting like this is a big reveal. Like, I, Prince Vlad, am actually Dracula, Prince of Darkness. It's like, we knew that from the first time we saw you. It's not a surprise. It's like, duh. So yeah, he's Count Dracula. So now all the characters have been revealed, all the monsters. And basically he's, I don't know, dressing down Vincent Frankenstein, telling him that the reason why he wanted this super strong servant is to protect him while he's asleep during the day in his coffin. He wants someone to basically be his bodyguard. But Frankenstein is having none of this, and he grabs Dracula by the throat and throws him to the ground. And an epic melee ensues between Dracula and Frankenstein, the Frankenstein monster. Dracula tries to turn into he does turn into a giant bat to escape. And Vincent Frankenstein's had enough of this fucker. He grabs a burning urn and throws it at Dracula's face. Dracula's flying around in a panic, and he dives straight into the Frankenstein monster. And they both plummet into the laboratory, igniting the chemicals and starting a blazing inferno. I'm not commenting much on the art. It's very typical Neil Adams art. Not the best, but still, it's pretty damn good. It's Neil Adams. But it seems like maybe the last chapter he had to rush a little. I don't know. Not a lot of backgrounds. It seems like he's stinting on some stuff. So Vincent Frankenstein is basically going to let the flames envelop him. His love, Erica, he believes to be dead. He's like, I got no reason to live. But then he realizes, wait, Erica there's a slim chance she might be alive, so I have to stay alive. And then all of a sudden, a werewolf shows up. Of course, we know it's Erica. And he's like, I got to convince this werewolf to get out of the way and to follow me, and we can escape together. And he talks to the werewolf, and some rational thought seems to enter the werewolf's face, or brain, I should say. And she decides to follow him instead of eating him, which is probably her natural instinct. They escape together. Vincent collapses. He can't move another inch. And the werewolf actually drags him like 100 yards to safety. And the castle explodes. This epic explosion. Look at that. And then, as the sun rises, Erica turns back to her human form. And it's this joyous, happy ending. He basically says, we'll face this together. We'll go to the best doctors. We'll figure out something. But after what we've been through, this is still like a heaven on earth that we could be together. And they walk off into the sunrise together. The end. Not much of a story, but it's nice to see Neil Adams' art, especially in the 80s. That was a rare treat. He wasn't doing any interiors. Well, he was for his shitty superhero comics, but nothing that good. And unfortunately, now we also have the last chapter of Carlos Jimenez's Home. And God, I love this series so much. Guys, look at this first page here. It's like Serpieri. It's amazing. Or like Lieutenant Blueberry Mobius. I mean, it's like Jimenez. He's a master. So that dolphin asshole guy, he's basically just spouting off about how, oh, you should all worship me. I saved all of you. Bow down before me. And if you remember, Hom is totally taken over by the parasite now. The parasite's not even letting him talk. And the dolphin basically says, oh, as soon as high tide comes, I'm going to get into the ocean, and I won't be back for who knows how long. I guess this dolphin spends half of his life on the land and then half of the ocean. And the parasite's all like, now turns against the dolphin. He's like, so you're just going to leave us here to die, aren't you? You motherfucker. And he's like, you're not talking to these dumb nabobs now. You're talking to me. I'm just as much of a bastard as you. And I want to survive just as much. Look at that great panel of Hom. So the parasite, using Hom, he pulls out a sword, and the dolphin's like, no, don't kill me. But Hom chops his own arm. A really grievous wound. And he says, why? Everyone's like, why'd you do that? Or the dolphin, I should say. He says, if I leave the body of Hom, I want to be sure he won't do me no harm. Any harm. And the parasite, with his last bit of Hom's strength, jumps on the dolphin's back and oozes onto the dolphin's head and fuses with him. So now they're a binary creature. Hom basically wakes up and says, what the hell's going on? I can't believe how much blood is coming out of me. But he's got a little strength left. And he walks towards the dolphin with his blade. And basically he's just yelling at him, just of all the injustice of this whole thing going on. How people like the dolphin and the parasite, or creatures like the dolphin and the parasite, just constantly just treat everyone else like shit and use them. And he's just had enough. He's just can't take it anymore. And he thinks of all the poor people, innocent people who died for these fuckers. And so he lifts his blade, but he's not strong enough. The dolphin pushes him away. But then the two blue slave ladies of the dolphin, they pick him up and they help him kill the dolphin. Man, I was like almost out of my chair when those two helped him, because just like they were slaves to the dolphin their whole life. But Hom touched them and made them realize what they got to do. So the dolphin falls dead. The parasite falls off his head. And he says, kill him. And one of the women scrunches him. I'm sorry, not scrunches, squishes him with her foot. Man, look at these beautiful just scenes of nature. They throw the dolphin in the water, and these parasites make quick work of him. What a page. That's amazing. And then we get an epilogue. And all of a sudden we see Hom. I guess those blue ladies, cauterized his wound, chopped off his hand and cauterized it, and put in a little prosthetic spear where his hand used to be. And he's heading back to the village that him and his girlfriend escaped from in the first chapter. And before he even gets to the village, he sees some of the hunters from the village. And he's like, "How's the village? What's going on in the village?" And they're like, "It's not good. That guy's killed like half the hunters. So we escaped just like you did. It's just we can't fight that guy." And then I love this. Hom looks up, and just like the very first page of Hom, he sees this little bug, and this bigger creature eats it. He eats another little creature, but then all the little creatures get together and just rip him to shreds. There is power in a union, I've heard. And then basically Hom says, that inspires him. He says, "Oh, I'm going back to the village." And he's going to take care of that fascist bully boy who took over the tribe. But then we have a very ominous last note. As he's walking, the camera pulls back, and we see another parasite creature right in the path of Hom, right over his head. The end. With a question mark? I don't know. So now, from the sacred to the profane, we have Tippie Toe Jones returns for a little mini chapter, written by Lindley Farley and drawn by Lewis Mitchell. This is Tippie Toe Jones, The Night of Terror. And it's colored by Neil Adams, who also colored the cover, by the way. Not very well. Neil Adams isn't my favorite colorist. I remember, like, every now and then he'd color stuff back in the 60s and 70s, and he was really good. But I think he doesn't know how to use this newfangled technology, the coloring. But once again, really slick, nice art. Looks just like Neil Adams. But you got Tippie Toe Jones, like a turd in a punch bowl. And this is really odd. This story is so obviously was written in like the late 70s and was put in a drawer, probably for good reason. And they're just dusting it off in the mid 80s. Because first of all, Tippie Toe Jones goes to a disco. And then when he leaves the disco, he turns on the radio in his car, and there's news reports about the son of Stan, the serial killer. And Tippie Jones is freaking out. He's getting all scared. He's like, I gotta get home. And then the son of Stan shows up and blows Tippie Jones' face off. I do like this bit of cartooniness. It's like really gory Tex Avery antics. And then those two stereotypical Irish cops from the very first Tippie Toe Jones story show up, and they find his dead body. Yeah, really, like Son of Stan was such a late 70s thing. And, so weird how the strip is so of its time, but it was published way out of its time. We have a coming attraction page, which is, I don't want to spoil it, what's coming up. But there you go, guys. Echo of Futurepast number 5, another amazing issue. Just some phenomenal art and some great stories, even though some of the stories aren't so great. But, what do you expect from an anthology? It's always hit and miss. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And I can't wait to do number 6 now. And, okay, I'm going to tell you, fucking Torpedo showing up next issue. One of my favorite comics of all time. The gangster comic. It's and the first 2 chapters are art by Alex Toth, no less. So look forward to that, and I guess I'll see you next time here at the herculespetix Academy of Comic Book Stories. Studies. Sorry.